Hello, you beautiful people. Welcome to Marcy's Magic Podcast, where I, your host, Marcy, will be talking to you all about your spiritual evolution, God, love, and so much more. In today's episode, I'm joined by Gabrielle, who is an incredible woman. She is my friend, she is my um, salsa friend, and today we're going to be talking to you all about feminine energies, masculine energies, and the role of the two in romantic relationships. So I'll hand over to Gabrielle to introduce herself.
Hi, so I'm Gabrielle. I am a Reiki practitioner. I'm recently a qualified doula, and generally, I'm just someone who is very, very passionate about feminine empowerment and inspiring women to connect back with their innate feminine essence, their innate feminine natures.
Beautiful, and I'm so excited that you've just become a doula. Like, it's so you just radiate whenever you talk about it, and it's such a beautiful aligned thing, and also what a cool thing to be supporting people through as well. So could you tell us a little bit about what is the role of a doula for anyone that doesn't know, um, and why should we be having a doula?
Okay, I'll try and keep this short. So doulas can sometimes be seen as a mother to the mother, so someone who supports the mother through pregnancy, through birth, and through the postpartum period. A doula is there to support the woman with emotional, informational, physical support. She's there as an advocate for the mother, especially during birth, which is such a deep, transformative, vulnerable, spiritual experience, which I believe needs to be kept sacred and protected. And unfortunately, in society today, especially in the West, I think birth is very, very medicalized, and women are not being necessarily respected and honoured, and a lot of women are unfortunately experiencing birth trauma, which is a whole topic which I'm not going to go into. But having a doula can help you feel empowered to make decisions, feel able to do do this amazing thing that I think for a lot of women we fear and we don't trust our body's innate abilities in. So yeah, as a doula, I'm just there to help women feel informed, fearless, and empowered during this amazing, magical experience.
That's so beautiful, and I can't wait for you to be my doula.
I can't wait either.
I wish it would happen now. Just saying.
In
But
time, in time.
absolutely, always the divine timing. But yeah, no, that is incredibly beautiful, and I love what you said there about birth being the process that's become mm, very medical. Medical. It's seen as like a medical procedure, something that happens in a hospital, and then you're out. But actually, you're there to help women connect to the essence, because when there's doctors that are telling you you need this, or they're sort of not taking you and your experiences seriously, um it does create that feeling of lack of safety in your body,
Mm,
because essentially your truth, your innate experiences are being completely shut down and said like, no, I know better than you.
100%, absolutely, I agree with that. And it is the case where these women are not being listened to. And the thing is, we know our bodies best, right? And that's another thing that I'm just very passionate about, is helping women connect with their mind, with their body, with their energy on a holistic level, and just trusting their body. And I know you're very big on this as well, about kind of building that inner trust and safety, and just that connection with the body. So whilst I'm very only just kind of starting with my doula work, I do hope to kind of incorporate that holistic aspect of, connecting with your body, your energy, your mind, and trusting in yourself, in your baby, and in the process of birth.
Yeah, no, totally. That's so beautiful. And yeah, I am very big on inner safety and trust.
Mm,
That definitely encompasses a lot of my work. It really guides a lot of what I take my clients through, regardless of what they come to me with. Inner safety and trust always is at the forefront of it because, in my opinion, if you don't have that inner safety within your body, you can't relax, you
mm,
can't then trust yourself, you then aren't able to hold your experiences, and those are the moments where you're then more likely to experience a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear. It's in those moments without inner safety and without self-trust that you outsource everything to others, you asked for their opinion, you're not able to hear the wisdom of your body, and our bodies are
mm,
so wise. They continue to speak to us every day, but we're just
mm,
not equipped to be listening to those. And even on some level, we know what's happening. We don't have that confidence or the ability to recognize that's what it is and to then trust that and follow through with it. So it is
mm,
really beautiful that you're able to be there for women, to help them on that journey, especially in something that can be as challenging as pregnancy and birth, where they are more likely to be influenced by the fear mongering and the opinions of others. I think it's a really beautiful place of empowerment, something that will really help to bring them to the feminine essence. And I think as women, as owners of wombs, we have so much creative power. Like our wombs are so
mm,
sacred, sacred to
mm.
go. They hold so much wisdom. And I'd love for you to tell me a little bit more about what do you feel like it means to live within that feminine essence, and how can that impact your life? How does it affect everything essentially?
Mm. Okay, before I start, I just want to say everything that you said, I love so much and absolutely agree with. And I think, the work that you're doing as well is so powerful. And I think more people need that because I think we are so disconnected from ourselves, from our bodies, from our energy, from our minds. And, you can look at society and say it's because X, Y, Z. There are so many reasons for it and stuff. But I think the first thing that comes to my mind when, in terms of like connecting with your feminine essence, I think one of the first things is connecting with your body and like building such a beautiful, strong, connective relationship with your body. Like that's what I think the feminine is about. The feminine is about being and being in touch with your body, whereas the masculine is about being in the mind and logic. And I think that's what so many people are in that state right now. I think especially women these days, for so many reasons. I could go down a whole rabbit hole about that. But yeah, I think the big thing is just that connection with your body, whether that's by there are so many different ways of connecting with your body. And funnily enough, actually, yesterday when I was came back from work, I was thinking to myself, I feel like I've not connected with my body much recently, which, felt quite surprising to me. Like, usually I do this like every day. And I remember the radio was playing and this really like fun, lively song came on, and I just felt, the immediate urge to just like dance freely to it. And that was so joyful for me. And again, just a way of connecting with my body and also moving my energy and like releasing energy and stuff. So yeah, in terms of the question, I think the big thing is being in touch with your body and also just being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. The feminine is really intuitive. So she notices what the different urges are, what she's feeling, and she's able to see it and act upon it. So you felt the pull towards just having a free dance,
Mm.
and that's what you did. And exactly like you said, there's a lot of women nowadays who are not in that energy and they are in the masculine energy. And of course, within everyone, regardless of gender, both of the energies of feminine, feminine and masculine exist,
Mm.
but very much on different scales. And as people who identify as women, that feminine energy is our natural state. It's something that it is our natural essence, but there is a lot of women who are not within that energy because they don't feel safe in it because of a million reasons, which I know that we could talk about
Mm-hmm.
for the next hour, purely just stating the reasons. But to keep it incredibly short, I feel that the today's capitalist society has taken away the feminine essence of being able to be the caregiver, of being able to listen to what's happening to her, to her children, of being able to to nurture, and instead the element of hustle,
Mm.
overachieving, and so many people experience mental health challenges nowadays, which can also really further push you into the masculine energy of being in your head, not trusting, and you may notice a sensation or an intuitive nudge coming through, but spend so much time in our heads that we're not able to trust that this is our intuition, that this is our body's wisdom that's coming through, and you see this role reversal in a lot of relationships
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
where
Mm-hmm.
the masculine energy is the leader,
Yeah.
is the one that makes the decisions, the one that provides the stability, and is overall a provider. And it's the feminine that's the more nurturing one, relaxing, creative, fun. I'm not saying the masculine is not fun, but it's a
Mm-hmm.
lot less structured and more sort of in the here and now as opposed to thinking about the steps ahead. But yeah, in a lot of relationships today, the mm, the the roles are reversed,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
where men are leaning more into the feminine energies and women operating from the masculine energies,
Absolutely.
which is really sad to see.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I wondered what were your thoughts about this role reversal, because I know that you agree with
Yeah.
me.
It's so funny that you're talking about this because I was literally having a conversation, the exact same conversation with someone at work yesterday. And it was actually with a guy. And it's always interesting hearing guys' perspectives on these things. But he was in complete agreement with me. And I was saying to him, I feel like there is an agenda behind it. An agenda to make women more like hyper masculine, as in their masculine energy. Like burning themselves out, doing absolutely everything, which leads them to become, disconnected. And as you probably see and also maybe agree with, I think that can also cause women to experience issues with the menstrual cycle and menstrual pain. And obviously, we won't go down that rabbit hole too much. But I'm a big believer that, pain are messengers, pain are signals, and especially in terms of menstruation pain and problems with your cycle, that's huge signs of imbalances. But this is something that has become so normalized in society. Period pain, heavy periods, issues with your cycle. And because it's becoming so normalized, because people are accepting it, because so many people experience these problems, people aren't questioning it and questioning why this happens. And it's really funny because sometimes I've experienced comments online when I've shared things that people actually think when you experience a painless period, people think that is not normal. People think it's not normal to not experience pain on your period. That's how crazy it is. But back to your question, which was it about why this is
Just
happening?
sort of wanted to hear your thoughts about the role reversal
The
in
role reversal.
relationships.
Yeah. I think I think I do think it is a big thing. I do think it's a very, very big thing. And I was, as I was saying to my colleague yesterday, actually, I was saying that I think the big what it stems from, I think a lot of women are not gonna like hearing this, but I think what it stems from is the women first who are so pained, so shielded and guarded and in this hypermasculine energy. Maybe it is out of protection from previous pain. They're so in this energy that they don't trust the masculine energy. They don't trust men. And so when they come into these relationships, they come in with this hard energy. And so as a result, the men are not going to want to kind of compete with that. The men are going to feel like, oh, she's the one doing absolutely everything. So there's no space for me to step into my masculine. And so I'm going to lean back. That's kind of the natural how it's going to happen because you need that like polarity. And I think when that happens, like women do get frustrated. They get more frustrated with the men because like, oh, you're not doing this. Like I have to do everything. But I think to myself, like, how many of those women are aware of their own behaviors and the way that they are with their partner, and the way that they speak to the partner, the thing that goes on in the relationships and how much they give. And I think a big thing is the woman needs to kind of realize the energy that she's putting in and then to kind of take a step back and be like, okay, right, how can I communicate in a way to my partner that kind of inspires him to step into that masculine energy? And how can I kind of shift the way that I approach things? And I think communication is key in this aspect. But I do also think, as I was saying, how I think women collectively are becoming more in that masculine energy, more masculinized. I think it's also affecting men collectively as well. And they're just becoming kind of like more hyper feminine. So I don't think it's necessarily just in relationships, in the kind of like container of relationships that these things are happening. I think it's happening on like a broader scale as well, which is terrible. As I was saying to my colleague yesterday, kind of I was going down further in maybe a rabbit hole, conspiracy theory, whatever you want to call it. But I was saying to him how I think there is this big agenda to kind of create over masculine women, over masculine men, so that eventually, especially women, they kind of decide, oh, I don't want to be in a relationship. I'm just going to remain single because I can't trust men because men are this, men are that. And obviously that what that's going to do in the end is going to decrease fertility rates. You know, there's already stats and evidence that shows the fertility rates are decreasing. So yeah, even like with men and their sperm count and their fertility, there's evidence that shows that is drastically decreasing as well. So I think it's a much bigger thing.
Mm-hmm. That's so interesting. And yeah, I recently saw some stats about testosterone levels and how much
Mm-hmm.
they've dropped since the early 2000s. And it is scary to
Mm-hmm.
what these energies can do to your physical health. See, my view on this, like, I wholeheartedly agree with a lot of what you say, but my view is like, because the masculine energy is the one that is the provider that takes the initiatives. I do believe that it should be men taking the initiatives to be like, actually, we need to work on this. You need to relax. I need to take the charge
Mm.
because the feminine is not going to relax until she sees
Mm.
that she can be taken care of. So I do think that it is men's responsibility to provide the evidence, but then the feminine is naturally open. So
Mm.
she does need to be willing to be open to it and not shut the mouth.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah.
the man could be providing all the evidence in the world that I'm going to take care of you, you can relax, please let me take charge. But if she's closed,
Mm.
it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
So it does need to
yeah,
be definitely a balance of the two.
yeah,
And
definitely.
to a large extent, I don't blame women for being in that position, because I strongly believe in reincarnation and the fact that we carry a lot of energies from past lifetimes.
Mm.
And we know how things were for women in,
Mm-hmm.
over the hundreds of years. So it makes sense that we don't feel safe in our bodies because of all the abuse and repression that we experienced through those lifetimes, which is why I think it is for men to take the charge. And in my personal experiences, there has been a few instances where I thought the male counterpart in the relationship was a little bit more able to take the charge, and I very openly expressed what I wanted from them, such as a simple decision about, where we're going to go out for food, and they would just be like, well, where do you want to go?
Mm-hmm.
But obviously every relationship and every interaction is completely different. But I do think there's a lot of work there to be done for every single person,
Mm.
to allow both of those energies to play out, both in relationships as well as everyday interactions, but then also within ourselves. Because something that I want to circle back to is the fact that we hold all the energies, as we are both very feminine women. We're very confident and safe in our feminine expression, but we also possess the masculine energies. And for anyone listening that's sort of being like, what does all of this mean? I do want to reiterate that it's about finding the balance between the two and being comfortable with them existing. Because even as a woman, you're going to have to make peace with your masculine energy, because you cannot
Mm.
always be free and flowy and intuitive. There's times where you're going to have to take charge and make decision and go to work and earn money. And that's absolutely fine, but it's also about doing it in a way that is supportive of your needs, of
Mm.
your your nature, your entire essence. And same for men. Um, they do also need to be able in touch with the feminine side to be able to process their emotions, to so that they feel safe in making decisions and being the leaders that they naturally are.
Mm. Yeah, I 100% agree. I 100% agree. Love that.
I love that. Amazing. So, what do you feel are some things that people can be doing, regardless whether male or female, to embrace their natural energy?
Is this feminine energy or like masculine energy
Either
or
or.
okay, so I think I'll touch on the feminine energy first. As I mentioned before, I think a big thing is connecting with your body and just being. And by connecting with your body, that might be like physically like touching your body and like caressing your body and massaging your body. I think that's a really, really, really powerful practice. But I think also just like being aware of like the sensations in your body and whether you're experiencing aches or pains or niggles, or even like if you're experiencing hunger cues and you can feel that rumble in your stomach, or even when you feel like you need to go to the toilet, like just listening to your body and connecting with your body is huge. And also I think part of that like links to that is like loving your body and accepting your body. And I know that some people, can struggle with that. And, what I'd say to that is if you are on that journey of, self love and acceptance, you don't have to kind of straight away be like, right, I love myself. Like, that's it. And like kind of convince yourself that you do love everything about yourself, but just that slow step to like self acceptance. And I think another really, really powerful thing is just witnessing yourself in the mirror. Like, I think the most powerful thing is witnessing yourself in the mirror when you're naked, because you're literally like just completely raw and bare, all completely. And I think that can be quite a vulnerable thing as well. But I think just witnessing yourself from a non-judgmental place is just huge. And like hugging yourself is a very, very, very powerful thing. But then other things I would just say, like bringing joy to your life, bringing joy and playfulness to your life, and kind of just letting go of, obviously I know we need structure. We need to have a balance between the two. But if you're someone who is you find yourself very in your head, very like uptight, very focused, very serious in general everyday to day life. I'm sorry if you can hear the dogs. If you're someone who feels like that, I would really encourage just slowly bringing elements of joy, playfulness into your life. Connecting with your inner child, doing something that lights you up that maybe you've not done for a while, and just allow yourself to do that. Because I think for so many people now, again, back to like society and hustle culture and everything like that, we feel like everything we do has to be productive, and there has to be like a reason for doing something. But there doesn't always have to be a reason. You can do something simply for the joy of it, simply for the pleasure of it. I think, and pleasure is a huge thing that I'm passionate about, not just like self pleasure and like sensual pleasure connected to like sexuality and things like that, but generally bringing joy and pleasure into your life, indulging in your senses, and being conscious when you're doing these things, like being, again, back to being, and just being present in those moments. When you're eating food, take a moment to sit and just be like thankful for the food, turn away any distractions, just appreciate the smells, the taste, the color, the texture, everything, and just really be in that moment is another powerful thing. And another big thing I would say also is connecting to nature, and getting out in nature as much as you can, because obviously Mother Nature, like the queen of the feminine essence, and I think nature as well is a big teacher, and can teach us a lot of things about ourselves, especially in terms of our cycles and our menstrual cycles as well.
Yeah, sure thing. And I love what everything that you've said. I feel like that can be applied both to connecting with your feminine as well as your masculine energy, because it's the same as like what you said about really connecting to joy in the everyday. I feel that regardless of where you're at on the scale of whether you're hyper masculine or hyper feminine, bringing in that element of joy does help you to get out of your head essentially, and can help you to open yourself up to seeing things differently, to being more flexible, and noticing the senses. For me, that's an enormous thing. I really believe one of my gifts and one of my sole purposes is to help people be present, because realistically, being present, like the present moment, is that all that there is. Like what we started speaking about half an hour ago, that doesn't exist anymore. Like, yes, we're recording it and we're going to have real proof that it did exist, but it's not here with us right this moment.
I love
Same
that.
as anything, the dances that we're going to dance tonight when we go salsa dancing yet exist. We know it's going to happen, but it's not yet real, whereas the present moment is the only thing that exists. So actually engaging in the senses, noticing what's happening, like the smells, the taste, everything, is a way of bringing yourself back home to your truest energetic essence, whatever on the scale of masculine or femininity you are, regardless of whether there's a lot of work for you to be done or whether you're healthy and balanced and everything. Being present is the way to be. It is the key to everything.
I love that so much. I love that so much, and I think that's really powerful and something that a lot of people need to hear and could do with kind of practicing, because I think, sometimes we're so focused on like the future and like the next thing that we have to be doing, whether it's like, with work and you've got all these tasks that you need to do, or even focus on the past and, problems, or even things from years and years ago, that we've kind of keep thinking about. And that is, that overthinking in your mind, like your mind racing and racing, that's also on, like, I guess on a bodily, energetic, like health level as well. Like that's not healthy. And yeah, I think it's something that a lot of people do struggle with. And again, it's about being stuck in the mind rather than like connected with your body. So yeah, I love that, what you were saying. That's really, really powerful.
I love that. And I love what you said also at the start of when I asked you the previous question around seeing yourself naked in the mirror. I honestly feel like if I've not done that for a while, I'm like, oh my God, I've not seen myself in a while. Like, I feel like something's missing. It is a crucial aspect of just being like, hey, this is where I'm at. And it is a really nice process of connecting me back with myself. So,
I love that so much. I love that so much. And I've I've felt like that before in the past as well, because it's funny because like, even though you like when you shower, when like you have a bath or whatever, you are naked. But I think that's because that's something that's so like habitual. You often don't think about it, and really like in those moments, that is like probably the easiest way and simplest way of really just like taking that moment to like connect with your body, connect with your breath, which is so powerful as well, like proper intentional breathing, and just like be and just, check in with yourself. But that's something that is so easily overlooked.
yeah, and I think essentially everything, a lot of what we've spoken about boils down to just being able to observe.
Mm,
And that is the first step to everything. Like, not even accepting, because before you're accepting, you need to become aware of it. So, simply observing what's coming up and allowing that to be the experience and then letting it go as the moment passes. I think that is how we can really bring ourselves home. That is how, as women, we can embrace the feminine being. That is how we can hear our intuition. That is how men can start to take charge, start to be the providers that they are. And by the way, for anyone listening, I just want to clarify what I'm saying. A provider, yes, it is true that the masculine essence, the full, complete, healthy, masculine, embodied energy is the provider. But what I'm not saying is that now every man has to go and, make so much money that the wife or the woman is able to quit the job and raise babies. Yes, for some people that is the ultimate goal. That is the
mm.
ultimate goal for me. Um, but also it's about being aware of what is your position and your goals, because if you're someone that's, let's say, 25, which a lot of people in my circle are sort of between the ages of like 23 plus to late 30s, when you're still so young. So this energy is not about expecting yourself to suddenly become the provider, but it's about desiring to be the person that provides stability and support for the feminine.
I love that.
Amazing. So, do you feel like there is anything else that you would like to add as like a point of reflection or a technique for anyone listening? And if not, where can we find you to find out more about you?
Okay, well, I was going to actually mention one thing, but I feel like it could spiral into a rabbit hole. But it is kind of still linked to the whole hardening of women and in that like kind of distrust of the masculine. Yeah, it could be controversial as well. It was about feminism and specifically social media and the impact that social media can have in terms of these feminist spaces. And how I think a lot of spaces online, these empowering feminist spaces, I think a lot, again, I'm not saying all of them, but a lot have become spaces where a lot of the content is about like bashing men. And I sometimes read comments of these posts and the comments of women being like kind of like, yeah, man bashing basically. And like you said earlier, obviously women, not just kind of from experience now, but even from like past lives and past experiences, do hold on to pain from men. And that's absolutely valid. But I think the man bashing thing is I'm trying to think of the right words to describe it. It does need to go. And I was speaking to my colleague yesterday, and I was saying, obviously, I'm not a guy, so I don't know what it's like to live as a man in society today. But I imagine reading things like that, no matter if you are confident in yourself and your masculinity, and you know that you are a good man, reading things like that is no doubt gonna be harmful. And I think that kind of language is just not helpful. And if you are someone who says things like men are trash or all men are bad or like, there's no good men out there, whether or not you say that consciously and you genuinely mean it, or if you're just throwing it about like in conversation as a joke with your friends, like really I would encourage you to just sit and kind of reflect, like, do you actually believe this? Are you genuinely saying collectively all men are bad, or is it just because of that one person who maybe you were speaking to on a dating app ghosted you or said something to you? Because if you keep saying that and repeatedly saying that, that's going to form a belief in you. And if you hold that belief, any guy that you might meet, whether it is on a dating app or whether it is, out in the wild, like I like to say, you may find yourself struggling. You may find yourself struggling to find someone the type of man that you truly desire. And so, yeah, I think that's kind of something worth reflecting on. And I think, from my kind of personal experience, especially over the past, I'll probably say year and a half, when I've really kind of been a lot more mindful of my feminine energy and trying to connect with it and, embody that. I think over that period, I've become a lot more like open to men, whether it's like men in the street when I'm walking my dogs or male colleagues. I've been so much more open and like soft and feeling able to express myself and be in my feminine. And for me, that feels so nice and like relaxing. But also, I absolutely know that for the men receiving that feminine energy, whether it is just a smile, I know it absolutely lights them up and fuels them up. It reminds me of something that I read in a book about. It was along the lines of like a woman smiling to a man. It gives him so much like energy and like vital life force, just like lighting him up. Even if it literally is just a stranger. But I think unfortunately so many women are afraid to, smile at men, smile at strangers in the street, because we hear so many really heartbreaking stories. Which, obviously is absolutely devastating, and I'm not like brushing over that. But I think, yeah, when you are able to feel safe in your feminine and also trust the masculine, all my days, like it just changes, like the way that you go out to the world, the way that you present to the world. And I do think it does make you more magnetic as well, and it just makes you softer, and it just absolutely changes your whole energy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And honestly, we could talk about this for hours. I think it's such an incredible point. And it's interesting because I myself, I went through that phase when I was in college, when I discovered
Mm,
feminism, and I was like, fuck men.
yeah,
And,
same.
there's been a lot of bad experiences.
Mm,
Um, Even when I had a boyfriend throughout college, we'd both be like, yeah, fuck men, the trash. Um, and I was a toxic girlfriend, I'll admit that. But then, I went and did my healing, reflecting and everything, and I noticed that when you do say these things, when you do hold these beliefs that men are trash, it does prime your brain into looking for the evidence that
mm,
they are trash. Words are so powerful, and this applies to every single thing that you say. So the more you repeat something, the more it sticks in your energy, which then manifests outwardly. And I couldn't agree more that the more you feel safer and trusting of your own feminine essence, you do become magnetic. And I also love to smile at men because I feel the life force that it gives them. And I'm like,
mm.
I did that. And I think no real change in society is going to happen unless we remain open, unless we let go of the preconceived ideas that we have about other people. And yes, absolutely, we do need to acknowledge the tragic things that happen. Statistics don't lie. We could talk about the statistics of rape, assaults, domestic abuse. Yes, absolutely, it's all incredibly valid, all needed to hold space for that. But at the same time, fear is not our true essence. So,
Mhm,
yes,
mhm,
feel it, acknowledge it, it's valid. I think that as women, you do have a reason to feel scared walking home at night because we know what can happen, we hear the stories, and also as women, we are more vulnerable and not as strong as men. That's just basic biology. But trashing anyone, any kind of group of people, especially something as big as if we're to split everyone into people identifying as female and people identifying as male, that's a huge group of people that we're
mm,
sending hate towards, and it's doing way more harm than any good. It doesn't do any good at all. Um, so thank you so much for bringing that as a topic of reflection. I think it is super important. Um, and to wrap it up with, could you tell us where to find you?
mhm. So I'm most active on Instagram. You can find me at She the Force. That's where I post all things about periods, self love, feminine energy. Although I'll admit I'm not as active on there these days because more of my energy is going into my doula work, which you can find me at Sacred Sovereign Births.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me for this amazing discussion. And let us know what you thought in the comments.